At ease, brothers. Top of the afternoon, sisters. Man, I was catching up with a very good friend of mine not too long ago, right? And, we connect maybe once or twice a year, whether it's on the phone, whether it's over some coffee or whatever, man. And we were chatting it up, right? And just catching up is normal. Talking about family, talking about kids, talking about, life experiences. And of course, we ended up talking about relationships. And she was sharing a few episodes of her life, that took place about, a guy she might have dated for a little bit and it went south. Maybe a different guy she talked to for a longer period of time and it went south. And of course, I reciprocated and shared a few fragments of my life experiences over the, recent past, right? And at the end of that portion of the conversation, man, the question came up, and it's the same question I know that everybody has asked themselves at one point in time, right? And that question is, why do the good folks keep attracting shitty people? You know what I'm saying? Like when you think about it, man, you would automatically think that, hey, if everybody is moving a certain way and you got certain people are vibrating high, some people are vibrating low, you would think that people would just gravitate to the people that they're vibrating like. But it seems like, and all of us can speak to situations either we've been in or people we know, and it's like, man, my partner was so good or my sister was so good. Like, why did he or she keep getting with sour people or people that are so far different than what they are? Now, there are a multitude of reasons that I can speak on, man. And I'm trying to prioritize which ones to speak on. But there are three issues I want to talk about that I believe every person that asks themselves that question will fit in. Asking themselves like, why do the good folks keep getting into relationships with the shitty folks? Like, why is that, right? And I'll say this, man. I will say the first reason why people do it is because, to be honest, a lot of people are calling themselves healed, but they really aren't healed yet. A lot of people are calling themselves healed, and they're attracting people, and when it's said and done and the smoke clears, they're saying, dang, bro, how did I get in that situation? To be honest, it's because a lot of people that are healed aren't really healed, or a lot of people that are calling themselves healed aren't healed. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times, man, we'll be, us as brothers, we might say something like, you know what, man, I'm done going to the club. I'm done going, to the establishments and tossing ones at the half-dressed ladies. And since I've done that, I've automatically put myself in position to attract only 1%, only 5% women. But that don't necessarily mean that. Just because you've cut off a few vices, that don't automatically mean we're healed as men. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times these sisters might have, some sneaky links. They might have a few, 3 or 4 sneaky links they hook up with over the course of time. And they say, you know what? I'm tired of vibrating there. And they get to delete numbers and closing sneaky links off. And all of a sudden they think they're wife material. It don't work like that. And trust me, brothers, as I'm saying this to myself as well. It don't work like that, man, because a lot of times we'll extinguish the fire. Let me say it like this. A lot of times we'll extinguish the fire and nobody looks for the cause of the fire. You've never in your life heard of a house burning down, of a building catching fire, and the fire department pull up and just put the fire out and just haul off. It never happens. Like once the emergency has been corrected, once the smoke clears, the first thing the fire department is going to do is say, you know what, let's go in there and see if we can try to find the cause of this thing. Because if we can't find the cause of this thing, we'll mess around and build a whole nother one and the same electrical switch or the same bad game plan on the wiring system, whatever, the same software of the house will burn it back down again if we don't find the cause. So a lot of us keep getting in bad relationships because we might extinguish the hard part. We might get rid of the fire, but we never look and say, you know what, man, what caused that fire to start from the get-go? What was that thing inside of me that even desired to put myself in that situation? So that's when you have a lot of people going from situation to situation to situation and looking back over 3 or 4 years and saying, hey, you know what, man, I keep attracting the same person. Everybody is jacked up. And trust me, I've been in that situation. I've been there. Or you'll have situations where like people are married for a long time, right? People are married for, 15, 20, 25 years and get divorced, and they'll go through this 5-minute piece of isolation, and then they'll get back in the dating world and they're saying, hey, you know what? There's nothing but trash out there. It's like, no, it's like low key. You're still angry because your 15, your 25 year situation didn't pan out. So yeah, even though you're walking around here and you're having the divorce parties and blowing out candles and smiling like it's all good, you're still pissed off. And you can't possibly think you can be walking around this planet in a pissed off state of mind, attracting high vibing people. So like I said, man, a lot of people think they're healed, but they're not healed. And I can speak to that one, man, because I've identified that part in myself before. Thought you was healed, man, but you really ain't healed. You just trim some of the fat off of life. You just cut back on some of the vices, man. But that don't necessarily mean you heal. That healing journey is a onward journey. It's a mission, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this, one of the second reasons, or the second reason is, again, why good folks attract shitty people. It's because a lot of times, man, even though you've hit stages of correcting yourself, a lot of times, man, there's still a lot of lessons to learn. You know what I'm saying? And when I say a lot of lessons to learn, it's kind of going back to the same thing. Like on one part is identifying those things that even made you attracted to a situation. Or a lot of times it's identifying the lack of self-love. You know what I'm saying? When I'm saying there are lessons to be learned. In other words, and I hate saying this because you can't really say this on YouTube. In other words, like when you, and I use the same examples all the time because it's easy for people to identify. When a woman gets with a man and he's physically, the whole shebang, and it's like she'll leave that situation and get with another guy, and it's like, man, every man you get with is doing that, or every woman you get with is stepping out. And really, you got to go inside and say, you know what? There's something inside of me. I was just speaking on the power of your truth yesterday. At some point, a person has to say, you know what? There's something inside of me that's attracting a man or a woman that does X, Y, Z. Like I've dated different races. I've dated different creeds and cultures and everything. And again, when the smoke clears, it's always the same answer. So a lot of times we keep attracting those people because there's something inside of us we got to learn. There's some trauma we got to speak to. There's some truths we got to uncover and rebuild. Right? So that's one side of lessons being learned. On the other side, you got to understand a lot of times you'll attract shitty people because there's still a lesson in self-love that a person has to learn. Like you may be quote unquote healed enough to find a healthy relationship. But if that self-love isn't there, then you're going to attract people that are going to teach you, hey, you know what? You don't love yourself enough. In other words, when people talk about having those barriers up, self-love is simply having barriers up. So a lot of time, while a lot of good people are still attracting, let's call it toxic people, is because it's like, no, man, the universe, God, whatever, is still trying to show you something about yourself that, to get you to walk in a certain manner. Like, you still don't love yourself enough. Because if you did love yourself enough, the BS that you dealt with at the finish line, you would have caught it before the gun even went off. If you loved yourself and you had things in place, as soon as you saw that little minute red flag, you'd have been like, nope, this race is over with. It's over with. And I know a lot of us, a lot of people, once we get out of relationships, everybody, I don't care how long ago it was, all of us, when we get out of a relationship, let me say this first. There are some relationships that just end, and it might be a little bit of turbulence when it ended, but when it ended, it just ended. Like all relationships don't end just with hell and fire. They don't. I can think back on relationships in my past of people that man, I loved dearly, that we no longer talk anymore. But when I think about that person, it's really not even a whole lot of just negative things that went wrong. It just kind of went separate ways, right? But a lot of times when we get out of relationships, we'll look back and say, you know what? Like what I saw at the end, I knew from day one I wasn't supposed to be in that situation. All of us have been in those situations, right? And that really just comes down to self-love, because once you love yourself, and when I say love yourself, I'm talking about all areas of life. When you love yourself physically, when you respect your own time, when you respect your own energy, and you want to make sure everybody else respects it. When you respect your own barriers of respect, bro, it's a different ball game. And a lot of times us as healed people can go and get in a situation, and it's like, you know what? Looking back again, when it's all said and done, I can see the lesson that I was supposed to learn. Not only can I see the lesson that I was supposed to learn, if I wouldn't have encountered this person, I wouldn't have learned that lesson. Like I wouldn't have even learned it. So a lot of times, man, while good people still attract the crowd of the shitty, is because there are lessons to learn, man. But there's a third reason that I think people don't speak on as much. And the third reason is, I believe a lot of people overcorrect. I believe a lot of people overcorrect, meaning I believe a lot of people let me say it like this. Let me take me a squid, because I want to take my time with this one. I believe a lot of people at some point in time, no matter your age, no matter what time and point in life you hit this, I think a lot of people at some point will look at themselves and say, you know what, man, for a whole decade, I was blaming everybody else. I was saying everybody else was the reason, yada, yada, yada. And at some point, I looked at myself in the mirror. At some point, I went through that ring of fire and identified my traumas. I identified my self-love issues. I identified all the things that would make me attract a bad situation, right? I identified those things. And then I came out of isolation and I'm healed. This is what people do, right? They come out of isolation and they're healed, right? What a lot of people do, and what I mean by saying people overcorrect, they come out of that cave of life. They come out of that isolation and they just assume everybody has been in isolation. And they overcorrect, meaning all the barriers and everything comes down. Not saying that they aren't healed, but they think that everybody is healed. They've overcorrected. They think the whole world has changed. You got to understand, that's a very dangerous place when you overcorrect. Because when you overcorrect, it puts you in a state of being it puts you in a state, first off, of being naive, and it puts you in a state of being, I don't know what word to use, for somebody to run game on you. And I'll just say it like this, right? I'll speak to both brothers and sisters, right? For example, let me just say it like this, because a lot of brothers, I'm gonna say it like this for brothers, right? Like for example, if a man is moving in a manner and his energy is saying, I'm looking for a wife, that's very dangerous, bro. A man should never be in the energy where he's speaking about, I'm desiring a wife. I mean, it should only be read in his character, but it should never be preached, from the mountaintops. Because when he does that, then the women in the distance that really don't vibrate where you are, they can smell that. They can see that. And before they even come in your vicinity, man, they can put themselves in the mirror and make themselves to be, and I'm figuratively speaking, and make themselves to be something that they're not. And it goes both ways. You got some women, man, that they not loud on social media. They're very modest. They're moving in a certain manner, and they're putting an energy out there like, where my husband at type vibe. A man could easily cloak himself. You know what I'm saying? And disguise himself as something he's not. And maybe that person, him or her, can really have intentions of being that person, that 1% person. But you got to understand, when you're talking about moving in any positive vibration, whether it's a 1%, 5% person, whether it's just walking upright, that's not just a decision somebody makes. It's a decision somebody makes, and then the work must be done. So a lot of times you'll have people coming in your space cloaked up without having done the work. You know what I'm saying? And then when situations end bad, it's like, damn, like how? Like I was vibing high. Like I was moving in a certain manner. Sisters are saying, hey, I cut all the sneaky links off and got myself right and went abstinence for 20 years and I'm still. It's because a lot of times we overcorrect. And to be honest, that goes back to the self-love. Like a person should create, I think like this, man. I think when it comes to this topic, when it comes to a person finally putting themselves in position where lower vibrating people can no longer enter that force field. This is my personal opinion, man. I believe that a person should just vibrate so tight and focus on forward movement that let me say it like this. I'm gonna say it like this, brothers. I think in order for us to avoid this, we should just never be in a state of looking for that. Like once you find that woman, and shout out to all the brothers that have these positive women in their life, right? Y'all know Soul promotes love and relationships over here, right? But once you find that person, you can vibrate, you can move a little different. But I believe anybody that's single, you should move in such a I'll say selfish, forward moving way that in order for somebody to get in that realm of your vision, they got to damn near go through hell to get there. Like they got to really be about a certain life to even get your attention. Because when a man is doing this and he's looking around and he's hitting the clubs and he's thirsty and he's man, it's dangerous, bro. It's dangerous. Like us as men, we gotta move in such a manner where a woman is damn near scared to come inside of your vision. Cause she's saying, you know what? I know that man's boundaries are so high. I know that man loves himself so much that the first iota of BS that comes out of my mouth, he's terminating the race. He's terminating the race. So again, there are 1,000,001 different reasons why the good folks keep attracting shitty people. I'm interested to know what y'all think, man. In the comments, I want to know what things y'all think that people do or ways that people are that keeps them attracting people that don't vibrate with them.